more for you, you feel it. You know it. This is your life, and it's time to go from contender to champion. This is the show. John Madsen.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm your host, John Madsen. Welcome back. I got a great episode for you guys today. Number one, you're probably going to notice a sound quality difference. I got the real shit finally, and podcast studio is legit, so we will see. But I made a post on my private Facebook the other day, and it got a lot of traction, and something really important in terms of fitness. And so I'm going to dive into that today. So we're going to get into the weeds a little bit, give you a detailed view of how I handle a seasonal approach to fitness and nutrition. And this one's going to be fun because you're going to learn a lot. And based on the Facebook post, a lot of people resonated with it, but you can only type so much. And so we're going to get into a lot more detail here on this show and tell you when this applies to you and when it absolutely does not apply to you. So the seasonal approach to fitness I've never really read about it before. This is something that I've come up with, but I know for a fact I'm not the inventor of it. So if you search, I'm sure somebody else has written about it, but this is my calendar year. And this is what works for me. This keeps me from burning out and keeps me motivated most of the year. I think you're going to like it because in the fitness industry, I don't know if people are going to agree with me or not. I don't really give a shit, but I do know that I'm a fitness guy who is absolutely not going to eat chicken, broccoli, lettuce, and ice chips year round. There's a time and place to go hard, and there's a time and place to enjoy your fucking life. And so that's the balance that I like to strike. When I coach people, I coach them realistically. If I'm coaching a professional athlete or an Olympic athlete and they have to perform their best on a given day, that's different. If I'm coaching general pop, which is basically 99% of who I coach now, in general pop, I mean top entrepreneurs, top CEOs, real fucking high performers, but people that don't absolutely need to get on stage at a certain body fat percentage or don't need to get out there on Sundays and play football. I do have a lot of professional athletes that I consult with, so their plan is different, but their plan is really how I constructed this plan. Although your calendar year is going to be different than theirs, the seasonal approach applies to sports. And so if you have a background in athletics or you have a background playing sport at a Division I level or even a high school level or whatever level, you're going to really resonate with the model that I give to you today. Now, before I move on, I just want to thank you for all of your support. I want to thank you. Our downloads are increasing rapidly. It's because of you. It's because you are sharing our stuff, and I greatly appreciate it because that's the only way we're going to grow. The reason I do this podcast is to put free content out there for everybody to consume. Now, some of you want to get my help right away. You don't want to go through 150 episodes and try to wonder exactly what's right for you and what's not right for you, because when I'm speaking broadly, you have to take things in context. That's why I pay for coaching. I pay for coaching because if I take everything out of context, some of the things might apply for me and some things might not apply for me. So you have to be really good at taking pieces and making sure that they're talking to your unique situation. That's why I hire coaches, because I want them to mold everything that they know into my specific situation, because I want to get from point A to point B in the fastest time possible. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody's in a position to purchase coaching, or maybe it's not that important to them. Therefore, podcasts and books and stuff like that, where you can get a whole wide-ranging knowledge of different subjects and apply it to yourself, that works for some people too. So I'm going to try to, in this episode, give you context for most people and also tell you when this applies and doesn't apply. So let's dive into this. Seasonal approach to fitness and nutrition. What does that mean? Well, if you're an athlete, you understand that you have an off season, you have a postseason, you have a season, and you have a preseason. So when I look at a calendar year for me and my body for performance and aesthetics and health and longevity and all of that put together, I come up with a calendar year that works for me, that's going to keep me from complete burnout. Because if you try to walk around at 6% body fat 12 months out of the year, you are going to be one miserable person. You are going to be hangry. You are not going to be fun to hang around with. You are going to miss social events. You're going to miss opportunities to connect with other people because you are going to be the person who goes out to dinner and can't order shit and never have a cocktail, and you are just on point. Now, if you are a person that can do that, more power to you. That is not, and I repeat, not how I do fitness. Could I be further along and more muscular and walk around a little bit more shredded? Absolutely, I could. But the reason I do fitness is because it fits into my life. It's not all of my life. So if you're a person that's like, fuck that, man, I want fitness to be my whole life. And there's people out there you can search, and when you read their shit, you can be like, yeah, dude, like you stack muscle, you walk around shredded, but you got no fucking friends, you make no fucking money, and your relationships suck. You have one relationship and it's to the gym, and your borderline eating disorder. I don't want to be that, right? I don't want to be that. I want fitness to fit my lifestyle, to make things better, to enhance my life. And this is the best fucking way I've ever been to articulate how you can do that too. So how do I do that? Seasonal approach to fitness for me has one main rule. And the rule is I stay within striking distance to being ridiculous shape at any given time. So at any given time, I'm 6 to 8 weeks away from being single digit body fat, can be pool ready, can be beach ready, can be fucking photo shoot ready. 6 to 8 weeks, usually 6. If I let myself go a little bit, maybe 8. But in 6 to 8 weeks, fucking shredded. I post before and after pictures, and some of you might be thinking like, dude, John got shredded last year, and then I saw a picture of him and he's a little bit more fluffy, and then he's jacked again. And every time I do that, I get a little bit better. My most jacked is a little bit more jacked a year, every single year. So I want to preface this whole model with the fact that you fucking have to get all the way there, or this doesn't apply to you. Okay, you can apply it a little bit, but it doesn't really apply to you. What does all the way there mean? When I take on a client, I got to work with that client until we get all the fat off. Literally get down to in between 6 to 10% body fat. We strip all the fucking fat off first, and then we decide how much more muscle we need to put on. 99% of the time, that's my approach. Strip all the fat off. I don't care if a guy comes in and he's 180 pounds. Most of the time this happens. A guy's 180 pounds. He wants to be 220 pounds and jacked, but he still has like 15, 16, or maybe even 20% body fat. So he's skinny fat. Most of the time we got to strip that fat off, and it's not really a fun process because dude has to get all the way down to 160 pounds. And he's like, fuck, man, I got way less muscle than I thought. And so you get down there and you strip the fat off, and then you can see, okay, now we got to build muscle. Building muscle is going to take more effort. It's going to be a little more fun, but it's a longer process than stripping fat. So we got to strip fat. We got to get all the way there. That might be one fat loss phase. It's usually 2 or 3 or maybe 4. That's why 30-day programs, 60-day programs, 90-day programs are complete fucking bullshit. If you're really fucking serious about fitness and you're going to purchase help from somebody who knows, you better be on for a year. It doesn't make sense to do anything else because you need to learn, and there's going to be different phases for you. So before you take my approach, and this is the problem with my Facebook post, is some people are going to read it and be like, fuck, I'm going to do what John does, but they never get all the way there. So they're never in striking distance. They're never in striking distance because they don't even know what that end product looks like. So if that's you, I urge you, you got to go all fucking in for a long time, get there, and then you can use this model. So my model, okay, breaking down the season like I was, as if I was an athlete, and dividing the calendar year up. We have preseason, we have the season, we have postseason, and we have offseason. So I'm going to start the year off with preseason, okay? Preseason for me is New Year's to March 1st. Usually people jump into New Year's and they're like, fuck, I got a New Year's resolution. I'm going to go hard as fuck for the next however long. I got a goal, I got to hit it. And that's about as much thinking as they put into it. My preseason is New Year's to March 1st. Okay. New Year's to March 1st. This is where I go 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, I'm going to eat pretty strict. 20% of the time, I'm going to eat really loose. This means that I'm tracking food 80% of the time. I know how many calories I'm getting, and I concentrate on how many grams of protein I'm getting. How many grams of protein should you get depends on how much weight you have to lose or how close you are to your end goal. For me, that's about 1 gram of protein per body weight. So if I weigh 240 pounds, I'm going to make sure that I get about 240 grams of protein. That doesn't hold true if you weigh 240 pounds, but your goal is 180 pounds. That means you have a lot of fat to lose and you're not very lean. So you probably don't need 1 gram of protein per body weight. You could go anywhere from 0.6 to 0.8 grams of protein per body weight. But I really, really concentrate at this time of the year on getting the protein intake and really having a loosely tracked calorie target. And when I mean loosely tracked, 80% of the time I'm tracking and I'm hitting, but 20% of the time I'm still going to go out. We're going to go to restaurants. I'm going to enjoy food. I'm going to order a pizza here and there. I'm going to eat tacos. I'm going to eat some burgers. And maybe I don't track 100% of the time. Right here, I'm losing some fat, but I'm not losing at a rapid rate because what you're going to see at the end of this cycle, I have the off season. So I'm coming off of this off-season phase, and so naturally I'm going to lose fat because I'm paying more attention here than I was in the previous phase. So think of preseason as New Year's to March 1st, 80-20 rule. You're pretty damn good 80% of the time, 20% of the time you're a little bit loose. But I'm gearing up for the next phase. The next phase for me is the season. The season. This right here is not 80-20. This right here is not 90-10. This right here is all fucking in. 99%, 1%. All fucking in. Very, very rarely am I going to mess up during this phase. This is what I'm looking forward to. This is when my motivation is at an all-time high. This is when you can put a fucking cookie in front of my face and I won't touch it. Because my motivation is sky fucking high and I'm all in and I know exactly what I'm playing for. March 1st to June 1st. March 1st to June 1st. 99%, 1%. All fucking in. Go time. You see how I have to on-ramp myself with the preseason. I don't just jump in there January 1st. January 1st, it's still kind of winter. I live in Salt Lake City. There's not going to be any opportunity to go to any pools or anything. In the preseason, I look good with clothes on, but I wouldn't want to go to the pool. I'm a little bit more fluffy, but the season, I'm gearing up for the season where I'm just like ready to, I look in the mirror and I'm like, fuck, I'm not living up to my fullest potential. I got to get going. But I know this is coming and I know that the season is the hardest part. So I need to give myself time to process how much energy it's going to take to fucking do it. March 1st to June 1st. All in, 99%. You know exactly how many calories you're eating. You know exactly what your protein target is. You know exactly what your carbohydrate target is. And you know exactly what your fat target is. Alcohol is pretty much non-existent. It's going to take rare things from March 1st to June 1st for me to get off task. Number one, my anniversary is in March. And so usually there's one night where I will fall off. My birthday is May 9th. And so in May, I'm going to have one day that I'm going to kind of fall off. But more so than anything, even if I go out to a restaurant, I'm eating with purpose and fucking precision. I have a food scale. I know exactly how much food I'm putting in my body. Because the next phase, the postseason, is from June 1st to Halloween. Okay? June 1st to Halloween. This is what you play the fucking game for. This You're 90%, 10%. So you see how we go from 80-20 to 99-1, and then we fall back to about 90-10? Why? Because June 1st to Halloween is the funnest time of the year. June 1st to Halloween is when you can go to pool parties. June 1st to Halloween is when you get invited to barbecues. June 1st to Halloween is when you go on vacations to the beach, or if you live near the beach, it's hot. June 1st is when you're proud as fuck of all the work that you put in during the season. June 1st is where you get to take your shirt off with no inhibitions, or wear that bikini where you're just like, fuck, I'm proud of my body. I'm so proud of my body because I just came from this season, March 1st to June 1st, a 12-week cycle that was really hard. June 1st to Halloween is where you celebrate, but June 1st to Halloween is not where you fall the fuck off. Because if you do that, by July 4th, you already look semi-shitty. But during the summer, there's going to be more things. There's going to be those barbecue parties. People are going to be outside. There is July 4th. There is, a lot of stuff, a lot of vacations and stuff that go on there. And that's why you give yourself a break and you go 90-10. 90% of the time, you're really eating just like you would during the season. You go back up to maintenance. You're not in such a caloric deficit. So you're going to have more calories to work with during this time, but you're still going to hit them with precision. You're no longer worried about fat loss so much as you're worrying about making progress, building some muscle, hitting the gym hard, but also having fun. If it's hot and you have a beer or two, or you have a cocktail or two, you're not beating yourself up because this is what you fucking played for. This is what you went so hard for. This is where you can have fun. This is why I don't burn out, because I break my shit down into seasons. This is the longest season. June 1st to Halloween, you got June, July, August, September, October. That's 5 months for you to really maintain, and you can make some progress. Sometimes the season might go to July 1st if I have an extended fat loss phase. For some people, maybe you go March 1st to July 1st. I don't like that long in a deficit, so I like March 1st to June 1st. I get in and get the fuck out of that deficit because it's not the most fun, right? Postseason is way more fun. You're still strict. You have higher calories. You have a little bit more carbs to work with. So you have more leeway, but you're constantly doing shit that reminds you of whether or not you are happy about your body or you're fucking pissed at the decisions you made for the last 10 years or 5 years or 5 months. The postseason is where you reveal what you've been fucking working on, which leads us into the offseason. This is where people fall the fuck apart, right? Actually, I take that back. If I'm talking general pop, people fall the fuck apart 12 months out of the year. Everything's an excuse. They're too busy. They just can't handle it. They eat their kids' food, whatever it is. You know what I mean? They have their own reasons for not succeeding. But for me, the off season is Halloween. Halloween, I love fucking Halloween candy all the way to New Year's. Halloween is like the trigger where it's like, I buy a bunch of Halloween candy for the neighbor kids and I eat half of it, right? And I'm like, holy shit. It's like drugs. Everything, the gummy bears, I don't know what kind of candy you like. I'm not like a chocolate eater, but you give me gummy worms or gummy bears or Skittles or the fruity shit, and I can't not eat all of it. So Starburst, chewy stuff like that, I freaking love it. Halloween is like that trigger where it's like, oh my God, like this, I shouldn't be doing this, but fuck, it tastes so good, right? Because we went hard most of the postseason. We went hard through the season. But the off season starts on Halloween, and you got to think of like the holiday season. It's a lot. You got Halloween, and then you have Thanksgiving. I love celebrating Thanksgiving, and it's usually not one day. You have Thanksgiving, you have family over. It's the day before, it's the day of, it's the day after. There's pumpkin pie. There's all the good shit. And then right after Thanksgiving, 4 weeks later, you have Christmas, you have New Year's. Some people try against their willpower to be in a fat loss phase during this time where it's really fucking hard. People battle their willpower instead of swim with the current. It's like they're swimming up current and eventually they're going to drown and they burn the fuck out because they're constantly trying to diet, but they constantly are in this restrict binge pattern that they can't get out of. So they're in a caloric deficit most of the time, except for those times where they're downing 2 bottles of wine, eating pie, stuffing their face, and they think they're dieting, but they're not because their averages are all over the place. If you do it like this and like how I do it, in the off season, it's not a free-for-all. It's not 50-50. It's 70-30. 70% of the time, I'm tracking calories, I'm tracking protein. Carbs and fat can be whatever they want. You're gonna have company parties, you're gonna have social events, you're gonna have cocktails, it's cold, pool season's no longer, the beach is no longer, you're gonna wear fancy dresses, maybe some fancy suits, so you're gonna still look good in clothes, or I'm gonna look good in clothes. I'm actually gonna fill my clothes out better. A lot of times when I get to this part, people's like, damn, John, you put on a lot of muscle. It's actually, I put on a couple layers of fat that makes my clothes fit a little tighter. During this phase, I try to add muscle and use this excess food in the gym to go hard, lift heavy, right? I haven't really talked about training. This has been all about nutrition, but my training coincides with this seasonal approach. During this off season, I'm training a little bit more heavy and I'm using those extra calories to push myself in the gym. Now, as far as training goes, I still like to train. It's part of me. It's part of setting my day up for success. So I like to train 4 to 5 times a week, regardless of the season. Sometimes for some people, when I design programs during the postseason, maybe their training drops from 4 times to 3. So you can see it's a highly customizable, it's a highly custom model built for each individual. For me, I like to train 4 to 5 times a week. I don't do cardio regardless of season. Sometimes for some people, I'll add a little bit of cardio in certain situations. I train 4 to 5 times a week, heavy resistance training, and switch up styles of, more hypertrophy focus, strength focus, power focus, different times of the year. But we're not going to get into too much detail there because that's highly, highly individualized for each person. But the important thing to really know here is the seasonal approach that I just broke down. So let me just recap real fast. Preseason, New Year's to March, 80-20. Season, March 1st to June 1st, 99%, 1%. Postseason, June 1st to Halloween, 90%, 10%. Off-season, Halloween to New Year's. All the parties, all the social events we just mentioned, 70%, 30%. Every single one of these seasons, I know depending on which one it is, in the preseason and off-season, I'm not so overly concerned about what my carbs and fat are. I just am concerned about what my protein and calories are, and I try to hit it with those percentages just mentioned. This allows me to go through the year and not feel like I'm swimming upstream. This really allows me to go through the year and use motivation to my advantage, where most people think motivation is the problem. It's an emotional state. I know from March 1st to June 1st, I'm highly fucking motivated to get back into the best shape of my life. Super motivated. So use that time. Now, to put all this in context and to tie this thing all up, it's really, really important for you to know that if you were not even close to like looking a certain way, like getting all the way there, as I've mentioned it in the beginning, you can't really use this approach. Because if you go 70-30 and you go 80-20 half the year, you're literally going to be stuck in the same pattern. You're going to be stuck never really getting what you want. If you're a person who's like, man, I really, really want to get into incredible shape, and you've never been into incredible shape, you might have to go for a full year or 2 years really, really hard. You might not ever have a 70-30 really for an extended period of time. Other than a couple diet breaks. You might need to really dig in and get there and commit. The reason I can do this is because I've been training since I was 16 years old. The reason I can do this is because I'm within striking distance at any given time. During the off season, when I looked my shittiest, if I switched right then because I had to, let's say I had a movie role and Hollywood called me up and they need, somebody that looks jacked or something. I could get there in 8 weeks. So I'm within striking distance at all times. So the important thing for you to know if you're listening to this right now is how do I get all the way there right now so that I can have this approach so I don't feel like I'm dieting 12 months out of the year. You have to get there. You have to go all in for however long it takes to get you there. And then you can have this seasonal approach to where you can really enjoy fitness and break down your year in a way that works for you. This way works for me. It might work for you, but it should be really, really custom to your lifestyle. If you like this episode, guys, please share it. If it resonated or you have questions about this approach, definitely reach out on Instagram, John Madsen Official. I try to get to every single message in my inbox. Sometimes I miss them, but I appreciate all the sharing, all the love, all the support. And it means a lot because that's the why I do the show. I want to help as many people as possible. And the show is growing because of you guys. Thank you. And we will see you next time.
Thank you so much for joining us for another amazing episode of The Show with John Madsen. The greatest compliment that you could give us is liking, loving, and sharing this episode with all of your friends. So please go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating and review, and then share it online with everyone that you know. Make sure to tag John as well. He loves to hear from listeners of the show. The links for all of his socials and iTunes are in the show notes. Also, if you'd like to engage John for anything related to his coaching, consulting, or programs, please visit johnmadsen.com for everything you'd need to know on how to engage with John offline. And lastly, thank you for your time, your attention, and your consideration. This is The Show.